UrbanDictionary.com defines holding space as a term that quote-unquote woke people use in place of the term being supportive. Wait, let me show you the example that they use. Becky was having a total meltdown about her butt not being hot anymore, so Jenny was holding space for her to make sure she got through her troubling time.
So she had a level 1 gyat, and she wanted a level 5.
Yeah, because she is not the Rizzler.
She is Ohio.
Skibbity toilet. You looked like so confused as to what was happening.
I looked frightened. Is anybody holding space for me? We are Squawking Dead, a podcast pulverizing programs beyond the Walking Dead universe. Sometimes we give you news, sometimes we make you laugh, most times we go deep. I'm your host, David Cameo.
I'm Cosmo Mom 09.
I'm Pluggy Brewster, and I'm Bridget. I don't know. That millennial pause.
Today we're here to talk about Silo's second episode of its second season titled Order, as he looks at both his co-hosts and demands it. And today we have a lovely guest that hasn't shown her face on this podcast in a little while. Rachel, Cosmom09, Rachel Burt. I am really excited because this is the first time Rachel's popped onto a Silo stream. I'm very excited, very happy, but there are some things that I'm not very happy about that I have to kind of say up the top of the show. Frank Hildebrand of Walking Dead fame, he was both production manager and producer on The Walking Dead, passed away recently.
Oh,
and
I didn't hear that.
It was very sad.
Oh, wow.
He was also involved in Fear the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And some of the cast and crew said some stuff about that over the weekend. Another sad bit of news, one of the friends of the podcast, Carlin Munster, passed away recently as well.
Oh, man.
It might have been just after Halloween. And she was a very big supporter of the show, kept us going over the years. So felt I'd feel remiss if I didn't say something. Her stepdad is actually trying to raise money, and I will be posting some stuff about maybe how you can help her stepdad with some of those funds in light of the fact that both her mother had passed away 3 years earlier and Carlin just passed away now. And so now he's all alone. Figured I'd send some links out there to see if anybody could actually give whatever they could.
Yeah, of course.
Hopefully. I'm going to be asking more about that. I only just found out today. But yeah, today we are talking about the second episode of the second season of Silo. And the title of this episode is Order. And what we've been doing lately is starting with the title and all its meanings. Well, the obvious thing is Silo Prime, as we've been calling it, the one Juliet just left.
That's what you've been calling it.
Yeah, it's what
I
we've
have
been.
not referred to
take
it as
ownership
that.
over my cringe.
No, I don't like it.
Well, Silo Prime is now breaking down in order, obviously, because something happened again that hasn't happened before. Has a sheriff ever gone out to clean? No.
Literally, yes.
Again.
Yeah.
Twice. Well, whereas in 200 years, never has a sheriff gone out and cleaned, except this one went out and cleaned just a year before. And then this one just went out and refused to clean.
No one has ever refused to clean and gone over the hill.
There's the other order thing, which is the book. The Order, which is a new thing that we haven't seen before. It's all about the pact, but never about the Order.
There's the order in which Bernard has asked people to be his shadows. It's going to lead to Common feeling like he was given the short end of the stick. Yeah, sorry. He's just Common. He's just Common.
I know.
Always.
I have that every episode. I'm like writing my notes. I'm like, what's his name again? And I look it up because I can't remember his name.
It's Common.
He's famous enough on his own, Dave.
I get it. It's one word. It's easy. 2 syllables.
But we come to find out that Bernard did have a shadow before he considered Sims to be his shadow, which the whole conversation has been really weird about that because he's not young. He should have chosen a shadow already. Juliet at her age already had a shadow because choosing a shadow early enough is really important in case you were to die. So the fact that he is the sole keeper of so many secrets but hasn't picked a shadow is really weird. We come to find out he had, and it is Judge Meadows who has decided to kick the habit and clean up.
Starting to feel like there are more people in the Order that we have not met or have not officially met. I'm starting to think with the mention of Knox's father in this episode, saving that one fellow from whatever department he's in, fabrication, steelwork or scrap. I don't know.
We just know that it's not
It's like
mechanical.
a machine shop.
Yeah.
It's maybe a part of mechanical, but a different subdivision of some kind.
He specifically said, I don't want the trash from mechanical in here. So it's not mechanical. Whatever it isn't mechanical.
Yeah. But it's still in the down deep, it feels like.
It must be.
Right? So with the mention of Nox's father saving him, something that I had thought of in the first season was that maybe Nox, when he became what his father was, head of mechanical, I think he has insight into the order. He seems to take a concerted effort, first of all, to keep people safe in mechanical and the down deep. But then I started thinking he knows something. It's starting to feel like that maybe there's more than just IT that has a clue in on what the order is.
Maybe
there's like a triumvirate going on here.
I didn't really get that feeling.
Each other.
If anything, I felt like for some reason that Nox's dad was in mining, which we have yet to see. So I would like to see what's going on there because it's often threatened, but we have yet to see it.
Well, and Avi Nash's character is still in the mines from the last season, from his involvement in Juliet's helping her out with the relic.
Yes.
Deer in the headlights situation, which I hope we get to see because that was one of your asks, by the way. You wanted to see what that was all about and why it was so bad.
The only other thing that I think pertains to the episode's title is that there is now going to be a secret order, much like the Flame Keepers, of people leading the rebellion.
Right.
Which would be Shirley.
One that seems to be developing with Shirley and Martha Walker. Or maybe they'll reboot the Flame Keepers. No, the Flame Keepers was all about relics.
It was. Yeah, it was about retaining information. This is about receiving information, so there's some commonality there.
We do get a look into the page of the order that Bernard is looking at. The heading for this section that he's reading on the page, because there's a bunch of sections on the page that you really can't see, but this is the one right at the top of the page he's looking at. In the event of a failed cleaning, prepare for war. Now, here's the rest of the text. This failed cleaning action plan is provided only as a guide to help mayoral and judicial and employees/raiders comply with the requirements of the Occupational Safety and Health Administration Silo Emergency Action Plan Standard 34 Code of Silo Regulations, CSR. Now, wait, pause. In reading this text, mayoral could be in the dark. It's a guide to help mayoral and judicial and employees/raiders comply with. So IT could, in this scenario, and this is going to lead to a bigger discussion later on, maybe, or maybe even now, the IT is the holder of the order. And since Meadows, we discover, was Holland's shadow 25 years ago in IT, I think the implication here, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that she had been drinking since she saw the order. It's why she stopped being his shadow.
It would seem like she couldn't handle it.
She broke.
And started drinking.
Which is one of the dangers of knowing the truth.
To be given that information is to know that everything that you have hoped, put faith into, dreamt about is all a lie. And none of your hopes and dreams really matter because people are ultimately puppeting everything that happens.
Well, I was thinking the opposite, actually, because I think she's been drinking for 25 years knowing that there's no hope to leave the outside world. Not really.
Oh, that too, I suppose, because we know that's true.
Which is the despair
the air
portion.
Is still bad.
Yeah. And as far as they've seen, that there's no heat tape strong enough to hold the suits together, and even still, there's not enough air, and even still, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? This whole project, that's humanity in a nutshell, and this is how it's going to be for the foreseeable future. That's a lot for somebody to handle, and imagine now, multiply that by 10,000, and how many people may feel the same way. Even if you know the truth, well, now what? Despair. It is not intended to supersede the requirements of the standard. So this emergency action plan still maintains the rules. This plan, blah, 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 the basic elements of an emergency action plan. However, you should blah, 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 the rest is blurry.
You should review the...
It's blurry. There's no, you
well,
can't read the
no,
rest.
it's like, no, I can kind of read it. That apply to its situation, company, and facility. And classification, maybe? That's really all I can read. I can't read anything beyond that.
The most I thought I could get out of that was that mayoral and judicial don't have to have access to the order. In fact, I feel like this confirms that IT is kind of like a puppet master role. They know what's going on. They can influence decisions that comply with the order. They don't have to be brought in. But in this case, since Meadows was his shadow 25 years ago, And part of being that shadow means you're not just an IT nerd, you're also brought into the vault and you get to know the secrets. And then even though she left as part of judicial now, since she still has knowledge of those secrets, he needs to take advantage of that knowledge that she has to fix themselves out of this crisis.
Who do you think the war is with?
Well, if you had to take a guess, we kind of saw it.
It would be the rebellion.
Oh, like internal war. In my head, I was like, does that mean that other silos would attack you or try to put your silo down?
Oh, no. Is that what
I don't
you
know
thought?
why.
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought I just did. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, Civil War. And I think according to this, it was the words you just read, it could be intra-departmental. But from the words that you just read, what it seems to imply is that IT should be coordinating with the heads of those departments for that emergency plan. So you have the Knoxes and the Shirleys facing off. People in the mids probably facing off. Even people inside IT probably facing off. The sheriff and deputies confused about what to do at that point. Brother against brother. People who want to know the truth and people who put the needs of the silo above the need to know the truth.
I get it. That makes sense. It makes sense. I didn't realize that was the war that they were talking about. Because I thought it was really weird. I'm like, that's so weird. What does that mean? I just thought maybe silos were trying to hide. I don't know. Or is there like a head silo?
It's like they're monitoring the monitors.
I have a cork board and
you have your own little theory that's going on.
And a bunch of string.
And a murder board.
Yeah, I'm looking very
it's all
frazzled.
Connected. In the vein of the Order, there are a couple things when you look at the scene that you completely gloss over. You'd not be faulted if you did. Bernard does this thing when he's reviewing Juliet's tape. Her display, he's obviously saying to something, stop. He voice activated the stopping of the recording of Juliet's helmet display.
I thought he was talking to Juliet, willing her to stop walking.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was too.
Not actually giving a command to something.
I figured that her thing glitched out because she got too far from the silo.
Mm-hmm.
I think both things are true. I think it started glitching out and then he yells, he doesn't yell, he kind of whispers, stop. His crazy eyes were beating all around the screen.
No, firmly disagree with you there.
I don't think it was a verbal command. I don't think anything electronic responded to him. I think he was just sort of in a panic-ish.
So you're saying he was just saying, stop, Juliet, don't go in there.
Yeah, he was like talking to the TV screen like we all do during a scary movie.
Let's assume that my thing is true for a hot sec, that maybe he was playing back the moment. Even if you throw that away, he's watching on a high def screen. And even that screen itself looks sort of floaty. It's like a curved screen on a wall.
He was in the room with everybody else. What are you talking about?
No, he was in the server room.
This was later after everything went down. He was watching what happened again.
In her helmet,
in like
too.
The office.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you mean
vault.
like he was telling the screen to stop showing him?
Yes.
That makes
That's
way
what it
more
was.
sense than what I thought you were. I thought you were telling me that he said stop and it activated her screen in the suit. And I was like, you sound insane. That's not possible. Okay, that makes way more sense. I got you. Okay, I would be willing to agree.
He was
with
reviewing
that.
the footage from her camera as he ran to the server room minutes earlier. He's reviewing the footage again to see what she saw. And then he says, stop. The footage stops. It was glitching, but the footage stops. And as he's walking away, actually running away when he hears the alarms, you do get to see the big screen that it was on, that he was viewing it, which is similar to sort of the screens that people watch the camera feed from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's the stop thing that I'm actually curious about, because when he says stop, it stops. And as far as we've seen in the silo, most of the screens in the silo, the computer screens, the full motion video is unheard of. So I'm just saying the pre-silo technology was way advanced. Voice activated command, first of all.
I'm willing to say that that's a possibility.
Yeah, the high definition screen.
Mm-hmm.
So why are they stuck in 1992 tech, not even 92, 82, 85, 87 technology?
I felt like it was giving very
silo.
70s vibes, but okay.
I mean, they have plasma screens. So that alone is beyond 70s or 80s.
True.
I think they also take that for granted, because then why don't they have that technology inside the silo? Why couldn't they? Why couldn't they take apart the screens and figure things out?
They're watching it on.
Juliet sees the video of George. She's like shocked by it. because they don't have replay of video available.
They don't have that technology.
All they have
They don't have full
is
motion
that
video.
live action, what's happening up top. That's literally the only thing that they have.
Let's maybe even cap it. I think what they think they're seeing this footage on is some sort of direct feed a la monitor, not a computer screen. They think this is a big old TV and there's a camera out there pointing to it. And that TV is the window for every single room in the silo. Well, not TV even, like a monitor. And that monitor is directly hooked up to that camera somehow via some sort of feed. But if they took the moment to actually look at the technology behind that large panoramic screen, at least in the cafeterias, they'd see this is circuitry and all that stuff, but they don't F with it. And why would they? They want to see what's on the outside. They're content with the feed that they currently have because it's their only semblance of what could be outside. And it reminds them, of course, every day that they can't leave. There's something about the technology that I think is interesting, that they never bothered to look behind the screens. They never bothered to look at the circuitry that is involved in those screens. It's not the same circuitry that they have inside their computers.
But why would they? What reason would they have?
I don't know. Why did my brother take apart a VCR when he was like 8? Some people just have to know how things work. And so it's unusual.
People probably end up in mechanical, right?
Well, that's true, where they can take apart things.
Mm-hmm.
And how is mechanical designed? Everybody regards them as the trash of the silo, the down deep.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and again, whether it's judicial or deputies, they kind of crack skulls. So they persecute them. They make it so that anytime they get close to anything worthy of reporting on or try to figure new things out, they kind of suppress it. They make their lives intolerable. They give them every single reason not to dig any deeper than they should. And even if they do, nobody takes them seriously.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I contend that Knox is part of that solution. Knox needs to be there, needs to be part of the order in order to keep things in order.
We see it in this episode when the raider gets in Shirley's face and then Knox comes over and he's like, whoa, 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 she's cool.
Yeah, it's not just him being a good guy for the good of the silo. It just makes so much more sense. How did this not happen sooner, is what I'm saying. Mechanical could have figured a lot of things out sooner. If they would have gotten a little bit of curious in the cafeteria at an odd hour in the morning and just look behind the screens. Because one thing you have to understand when I say, why haven't they looked at the screens? It's because one of the things that is outlawed is magnification. And circuitry can be quite small, especially advanced technology like the voice activated kind possibly in the vault and the high definition screen there, the floaty looking almost transparent screen there. If they dug a little deeper, they would see, oh, the circuitry is really little. I wish I had a magnifying glass to actually look at it. And then they'd figure more things out. And then it's kind of like sometimes scientists say that the further down the magnification of our cells, of various different things they go, the more you can discover about the world at large. And nobody wants that. Or the founders don't want that.
And everyone has heard the story of Juliet's mom when she made the microscope. So everybody's like, no, I'm good right here. I'm just going to do my job and get my credits. And they're all little worker bees.
And then the relics, all that stuff. The more you seem to dig into how things work and how things used to be, the more it's outlawed. Because if you try to figure out how things work and how things used to be, the more you'll want it. This is what I was trying to say about the screen and circuitry and computers and access to computers that have these screens. They don't know this technology exists, that they can create that level of illusion. And they're hoping that they clean the camera that is connected to a screen somehow. And they don't know how it's done, but they know that it's just a camera and a screen, not a monitor like a computer, like a monitor like a feed. And they're hoping that if they clean the camera, they're so conditioned that they can't even fathom that the screen they're watching is a lie. They couldn't conceive of the technology possible to manipulate that feed. So they're hoping if they clean it just well enough that they can see what they see in their helmets. Because they, of course, don't think the helmet's a lie. The helmet has a screen. That's inconceivable to them. It's just not possible.
I understand what you're saying. I'm just not buying it.
I think there's a simpler explanation
you don't live
for
there.
it. They're outside. It takes 2 minutes, if that, for the toxic air that's outside to get to them. It could have to do with radiation. I don't think that it's radiation 100%. Now, we've made those assumptions. I get where it comes from. The landscape is gray. Everything looks burnt. There's ash everywhere. I get where that's coming from because that's the picture that's been given to us by Hollywood for what Fallout looks like.
Thank you, Terminator.
Thank you, everything.
It's not even necessarily super realistic either. because how long have they been in the silo? We don't know, but take a look at any place on our actual Earth that has been affected by radiation. It does not look like that.
I should probably look at the first episode of season 2 because did we see wind at all?
Yeah, because the flag was flying. Or it's all a conspiracy and the flag isn't really flying because the shadows are wrong, like they are on the moon. You're welcome.
Makes me not want to say what I was going to say next, because the reason why I asked was because could it be that they don't have any atmosphere? But if there's wind, does it mean there's an atmosphere? That's something I should look up. Can you have wind without atmosphere? Maybe.
If you step into a vacuum, no.
Yeah, no.
And a vacuum would kill you, but not in that way. You'd like explode, I feel like. Your eyes burst and stuff.
Yeah. Or you would freeze before you'd explode. Your lungs would burst because of expansion. But
correct. Yeah.
But see, I don't think there's a vacuum.
Like Total Recall.
Yeah, like Total Recall.
And then the eyeballs.
Everything I learned is from Arnold Schwarzenegger movies.
This is true.
Everything. Terminator, Total Recall. Who knew he was so educational?
Kindergarten Cop.
It's not a tumor. It's not cancer.
Our mom says our dad is a sex machine. That's my personal favorite from that movie.
Where are they now?
Who is your daddy and what does he do? that's why.
Who's your daddy and what does he do?
Worth it.
The mechanical tape is the good tape.
Correct. Yes.
We're on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The tape created by Walker is the good tape.
And the other one was what? IT tape? IT,
yep.
Okay. So IT makes
which Juliet stole. Had she really looked into it, she realized it was crappier tape, and that's the same tape they would use for the suits, and she would have put it together sooner.
But would Juliet know that? How would she know that that's the specific tape that they use on the suits?
She didn't until she went through it, until she experienced it.
Exactly. And at that point, it wouldn't really matter because they can safely assume she was going to die. So she's not going to tell anybody.
Dead
it wouldn't
men tell
matter
no tales.
if she knew the truth at that point.
Because as far as they knew, the tape that was coming up was from IT, not from Supply. Or it's from Supply, but it's the IT tape. Well, they caught Juliet was the point with the IT tape. And she got in trouble for it, but nothing really happened to her.
She said their tape sucks anyway. Walker makes better tape.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
So she knew it sucked.
And
she just didn't know what the application was.
Right. What is it being used for in tape? We never use tape in IT. I'm an IT
sure
person.
She
just want to remind
assumed
everybody
that it would be used for wiring or something. Like that's what I would have assumed.
Wrapping cords.
I'm just saying
wires,
for us. For us, that makes no sense. Okay. For us. Well, they have no business making suits. Also, IT makes suits. I've never made a suit. Oh, that's sad for me.
You don't work in a silo, Dave.
I wish I did now. Just kidding. I don't want to be anywhere near one, except if I need to be. But then I'd be in IT, and I'd be in a good position to be a part of the order. Shadow much? Sorry, Common. I mean, Sims.
If that happens,
Step aside, big
I'm
man.
coming to the silo just to be like, nah, Dave's a punk ass bitch.
Shut up. You love your rations and credits like everybody else, you pleb.
No, I want to go out.
You know it. Don't say that out loud, which many people said that out loud in this episode, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From the girl in the Down Deep in the riot, she's like, that means it's safe. I want to go out. And Hank's like, I'm to take you in. The rules are kind of bendy here, and I don't want to take you in. Judge Meadows says it at the end of the episode in plain language to the mayor, pro tem.
Is that what she was trying to say?
That is what she was saying.
That she
wants a suit.
She wants to leave.
She wanted to go out. I want to ride a hot air balloon.
I want to fly
Get
away
outta
from my
here.
problems.
Now, hold on. Rachel, you know that's like a metaphor, right?
Wow. Yeah.
She's like, no room for language.
Oh, gee, Dave, is it?
When somebody says, I want to be a bird, I want to fly like a bird in the atmosphere. It's not that like they want to be a bird.
They might.
They want to be a human who can
fly like an eagle.
See, there you go. You get it.
To the sea for some reason.
Yeah. It was just dumb, honestly. Because if she wants to go outside, why can't she say, I want to go outside?
Oh, you didn't like the
she
hot
did
air
at
balloon
the end.
analogy.
No.
You didn't like the Wizard of Oz thing because she was like the fraud, and I like how she put that, by the way.
But also, Bernard is truly
that's why
the wizard, obviously, in this situation.
Yeah.
Well, he called himself out.
Yeah.
Or he was assuming that it was him that she was referring to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is a good place to stay.
This is a good place to hold space for defying gravity. Get it? Because it's a prequel.
Do they have an atmosphere?
It's a prequel to The Wizard of Oz. You get it? Do you get it? Do you get it?
Do you get it, David? Do you get it? Do you get it?
Wow. Yeah, you've expanded my horizons, bro, past the doobie.
Wow, I hate you.
She's actually looking for one. For all the S talk we were talking about Holland and all the vitriol I have in my heart for him, did this episode make you see him in a different way? Did something shift a bit?
Yeah, he's like an absolute monster, but I didn't feel that way about him in this episode. I don't know why.
I might have a unpopular opinion. I understand he's supposed to be our quote unquote bad guy. He's the guy we're supposed to hate. But I see him just sort of blindly following these rules that have been laid out. He's the guy that's following the book to the letter because somebody told him to. And he really is trying to keep the silo together. And he knows that if people go outside, they're going to die. With the exception of Juliet, we haven't seen him put anybody outside. I see him as a guy who's just trying to do what he's been told to do.
And in a position to do it. Bridget, do you have anything to say about that?
Oh.
Just trying to cause a fight between you two.
I understand what you're saying, but it's like fundamentally against my beliefs, I guess. I don't know. My thought did change because I do have some level of empathy for him. I understand he's trying to keep everybody safe. He's following the rules that he feels will keep everybody safe. But you also framed someone and said that they wanted to go outside even though they didn't, and you're up to super shady shenanigans with everyone. Something about his interactions with Judge Meadows made him more human, but I think it's just because they gave him more of a backstory through that than we had received prior for him. That he did have a shadow at one point and she left him, and there was like a level of disappointment in that because I'm sure they had grown close, and also you kind of expect this person to take over your legacy, and then they're not even going to do that because now she's an alcoholic and she's useless and she's not even leaving her room ever. She's not even going to judicial ever. No one ever sees her. So I'm sure that was meant to create a conflict for the viewer to say like, oh, maybe he's not that bad of a guy, or he's just trying to do his job. Well, other people have infamously said that they were just doing their job and it was really horrible stuff that they were doing. I'm not going to say specifically what it was.
You mean the Nazis? I have intimate knowledge of said things and people.
When I say that this is against what I believe, what I mean is that I think that people should be responsible for themselves. And I am firmly anti big federal government. Niche federal government is how it feels.
Well, when you say federal government, do you mean federalism or do you mean top down?
I mean like
control,
more rules from the top. That's
from
just,
central. Right.
Yeah, that's not how I believe that things should be run. And
but so, I think we can also acknowledge, I'm with you on in normal times, but I think we can all acknowledge that in strange times, that kind of representative democracy.
No, that's a slippery slope.
Might
Very
not work.
slippery slope. You know what? Given the choice, burn it down, man. Burn it down. Then screw the man.
Not going into a silo with her. She's going outside to clean. Rachel, you can stay with. Well, I'll be mechanical. You'll be somewhere else. I promise you. But let's stay in the safe silo where everybody lives.
If I'd lived in the silo, I would have died at 13 because I was the most angsty teenager, and I would have been like, I want to go outside. And I mean it because I hate everybody here and I hate you. And then I would have gone out.
Dave, specifically in IT.
I'd be one of the messenger people, the couriers.
Good for you.
Good for you. Bridget B is Shirley in this episode, yelling from the rooftops.
Yeah.
The mayor's lying. Shut the F up, Shirley.
Burn it down.
You're going to get people hurt.
All I could think was, Shirley, you're really bad at this.
Can I be honest with you?
You're really bad at this.
Yeah.
No,
she's great for riling people up. She's not handling it well.
Let me just say this because I am glad that you have that opinion. And I'm glad, Rachel, that you have that opinion because I'm more on the Rachel side. I think you need to have both opinions out there to balance what is in the atmosphere in these episodes is that there is a tension between wanting to know the truth and also keeping the world as you know it safe. And both things have validity.
It's such a slippery slope when you say, well, if it gets bad enough, then martial law needs to be enacted. That's my concern, is who decides when it's bad.
The Order decides.
Okay.
You know, that bad show
but like,
on Netflix, was it?
I'm just saying, like, You know, when you think about this, it doesn't matter how severe the situation is. It's always a slippery slope when you decide that someone makes a decision for everybody. I don't like it.
My instincts are with you. On the other hand, I do acknowledge the tension that exists in the actual slope, not the metaphorical slippery slope. I do acknowledge that different systems of governance are required in different situations, because when you live in a world, an open world, and also a new template for that world, I can see a world in which representative democracy can be the optimal form of government. But in a silo where the mistake, and also we acknowledge that there's a delicate balance between keeping a mystery and maintaining a soft level of order, of authoritarianism, where no relics, no microcircuitry, no magnification, that the balance between knowing and not knowing needs to be held so that people don't lose their will, like Judge Meadows. Yeah. She's an example of somebody who knows the truth and shut down.
I get it. I understand it. Inside, I'm like, burn it down, burn it down, burn it down.
Yeah. Well, again, this is why I love this show so much, because the instinct you have about the truth that everybody here watching the show has when they watch these shows is, tell me the truth. I want to know the truth. I'm the omniscient viewer. Please tell me the truth. I want to know the mystery. Please tell me now. Tell me now. I want to know now. Can I have truth? But then you're constantly bombarded by the fact that even knowing the truth could have harmful ramifications for society, because you'll make a mistake. You'll tell somebody else. That will spread like wildfire, like a tinderbox, as was said by Knox to Shirley.
I think we saw what happened when we saw what I'm assuming was a flashback to that other silo.
And it was a rebellion.
Yeah. And they attacked each other. And now everybody's dead except maybe one dude who listens to a record.
So what I did?
Why are you mewing?
Why are you mewing?
I don't know. I think that's what it means, where I just be quiet and I just let Rachel talk.
You gotta go this way.
I gotta do like this. Gotta do like this.
I don't know why.
Is it like this or like, I don't know what it is. I just mute everybody.
They just trace their jawline and then
it goes back
and then go shh. Yeah.
It's like,
I think it's like you're just cutting like this the throat. It's like cutthroat.
It's their. It has something to do with their jawline, because they like point at their jaw and then they go like this. I don't know what it means.
Sorry, I threw you off. You're on such a great roll, but you were doing it. You were doing it. That's the point. We just saw a silo that failed.
Oh, yeah.
That went to war. Russell from IT in that silo followed the rules. He went by the playbook. And what did Bernard Holland not do? Well, because it was a different circumstance, albeit. Maybe somebody in their silo refused to clean and then they went to war. It's possible.
Yeah, we don't know what the initial trigger was, but I mean, I think it was pretty obvious that that's what happens. These silos are a tinderbox. They are all run very delicately, and it is terrifying, which is why I don't see him as the big bad guy. Yes, he's a scumbag, but he is trying to just keep everybody alive.
Well, that's why this show is well written, because it compels the viewer to see both sides.
Yes, agreed.
Well, kind of like The Walking Dead in a way. You get a picture of somebody beforehand because they're against our protagonist and blah, blah, blah. But as soon as you see what's at stake, you kind of sort of understand what it takes to have to run this place without actually running this place. But now he actually runs this place because now he's the mayor. He wasn't before. He was really controlled. Kind of like what I was saying. Okay, this is what I was saying in the first episode of this season. There's a guy behind the vault who knows everything, blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, that guy is Bernard Holland. He is the one who sees all the feeds. He is the one who takes notes from a book or that came from before that says how to run this thing. Now, he doesn't have knowledge from before that we know of just yet. All we see are the rule books or how to do. It's like a manual, the order. What to do in case of this, how to run this, what happens when this gets too high. It could be a lot of things, but all we know for now is it does reference the pact in a way, because I think they were mentioning the rules of, according to Code 34, et cetera, whatever. Some of the language was similar to what Paul Billings would rattle off in terms of rules of the pact, according to Section C, Rule 34. And you wouldn't think IT in control of the silo, really. You handle support calls. You fix some computers from other departments. What do you control? You really control silo? And it's really the head of IT. So the mayor's
because
just
Allison
plant.
Becker worked in IT.
Right. And she started getting a little more knowledgeable. She's trying to get people to help themselves instead of relying on IT for their problems. Here, you can just
No, she was a
recover.
journalist.
You can unerase.
She was writing an article.
Okay, so sometimes technicians like me write tech articles or tech manuals, and you'll write down procedures on how to fix things for yourself.
Mhm.
And you'll send that document to your user so that they can fix the things themselves from here on in. And sometimes you'll send it to different departments, which Bernard deleted.
Yeah.
Deleted her article because he didn't want people to start being able to help themselves and build their knowledge and rely on themselves.
That's why she started asking questions, because
that was her first clue.
She was creating these self-help manuals so people could figure out problems and they wouldn't have to wait for someone to travel 100 flight of stairs to come talk to them. She felt like this way they would just be able to look it up. I was just accessible through almost like a old school message forum board, it seemed like. And yeah, he deleted it without consulting her. He just did it because he was the head of IT. And that really spurred on the whole thing.
And she was very confused by it. Because is it against the pact? Is it not for people to help themselves?
Well, you don't want them to be too independent.
Self-sufficient.
Yeah. Some things are okay, but not all the things.
See, I don't like any of that.
And that's the other meaning of the word silo.
That's bad. No, I agree. That's bad. But that's how they're keeping order.
So then silo has a double meaning. Silo doesn't only mean a thing to hold grain or a thing, in this case, to hold people. You're siloing people off from other people. Mm-hmm. You're keeping them to their space. This is, again, the argument against what I used to say, what I said about specialty. If you have specialty, okay, you can create a society where some people do some things, and based on that, other people can create other things, and so on and so forth. Well, no, we need to learn how to kill zombies, and we need to know how to make bread and start a fire and all that stuff. All that is true, but everybody doing everything means that nobody can get anywhere, because if everybody's doing everything, society doesn't build on itself. So the argument against what I said about specialty is, well, this is too much. You're siloing off people so that they can't learn other trades. They have to be in their caste, and they're only going to be this caste. They can't do this and learn engineering, or they can't do this and learn science, or they can't do this and learn how to build crops and stuff. You're only IT. That's your only thing. Don't teach this person in the sheriff's office how to recover files. That's not their job. Your job is to do it for them. His job is to sheriff, or her. You're not going to go do a citizen's arrest, Allison Becker. That's not your job. Billings, we get to see once in this episode at least. He asks Robert Sims, what happened? Here's my report. Julia asked to go outside. We took her to the cornfield. She had a dangerous relic, and then she tried to run. And then he goes, well, she has to clean. Why would she run? I don't know. Bitches be crazy. That's what he said in the show.
That is not what he said.
Crazy.
Word for word.
Word for word, Bridget. We're against you now. That's what he said.
That's fine.
In the direction.
Burn it down.
Burn it down.
You two
and then
dictators.
Common got canceled for saying that. Did you read about this? Common got canceled for saying bitches be crazy about the executive producer of the show.
God. Wait. Hold on. Is this
Rebecca
are we
Ferguson.
back in real life?
No, he's
no, not yet.
He's
because
riffing.
Rebecca Ferguson
he's
is
riffing right
EP,
now.
by the way.
Oh, more names.
She's amazing.
Is that Juliet?
Rebecca Ferguson is the actor who plays Juliet Nichols, and she is EP of the show.
Cool.
I just have to say something because this is so dumb, but it happened while I was watching this, because I was watching this episode last night before I went to bed, and it was really late because I stayed up till like 3 a.m. because I took an allergy pill and fell asleep for 6 hours midday. So I know it was rough. I saw the JL and I was like, oh yeah, propaganda.
Justice League.
Juliette Lewis. And I was like, wait, that's not right.
I same thing. And then I couldn't remember her last name.
Yeah, and I was like, it's Nichols. Why is it JL? That doesn't make any sense. So then when Walker said it's Juliette Lives, I was like, oh, thank God somebody said what it was out loud, because I was Juliette Lewis. That's not it.
That's exactly where my brain went. But
How
then I
long
couldn't
did it
remember her
stay
last
that
name.
way?
I accepted it.
I know that's not her last name. I couldn't remember what it was.
For a moment, I accepted it. I was like, Juliette Lewis. And I nodded to myself, like internally. And then I was like, wait, that's not it.
I can easily see you going right on out loud under a foggy allergy brain.
Sometimes I wonder if I'm like, yeah.
Right on, brother.
Like out loud to myself.
Truth's about burn it down. Yeah. Juliette Lewis would do that.
Juliette Lewis. Wait, what? No, that's not it. Her name is Nichols. What is the L? And then I couldn't figure it out.
Rachel's
and I
saying
gave it
up until Martha Walker says, yeah, Juliette Lives, she thought Juliette Lewis.
Well, she said that's not her last name, but she couldn't remember what it was.
Right. I knew that it wasn't.
But in the absence of her last name.
Yeah, I could not remember what her last name was. And Lewis was the only thing stuck in my head, but I knew it was wrong. I knew that wasn't
I'm
it.
glad I wasn't alone in my Juliette Lewis thought.
No, not at all.
We're here for you at Squawking Dead. All the crazy thoughts right here. Wait, I was trying to bring up the whole, what did you think about the bitches be crazy moment with Sims? Because Billings knows now something's off.
I think Billings needs to be careful, otherwise he's going to find himself outside.
True.
3 sheriffs in a row.
I do agree with that.
Ugh.
I think that Sims is so distracted by his own ambitions that he is messing up left and right.
I agree. That was kind of the thing I was looking for. Your point about maybe sending Billings outside, it would be 3 sheriffs or deputy, technically, in a row. I think Billings is in a prime position to hold some cards, though, because they can't send another person outside so soon after Juliet. And the context of which they would send somebody outside to clean.
That their suit
What
would
would that
have to
even
be
look
good.
like with this? So there's that.
Okay, when I said they'll send him out to clean, I meant it more metaphorically. They don't necessarily have to send him out to clean. They could send him to the mines. They could send him someplace else. They could do anything else with him that didn't raise suspicion with people. They could get rid of him silently.
You have to admit, it would be difficult. And the whole point that I'm trying to make is that Billings is in a prime position to be the Juliet of the silo. He could be measured. He has knowledge of the pact. He realizes what's at stake. He does have shaky hands, the syndrome, but also there's a lot here that he can move about a lot more freely than we even know right at this point in time. It could be later on down the line that he could be taking a lot more chances, but also knowing the fact that, yeah, people are here and we need to keep people safe. There is the pact. The pact is there for a reason. He's a good balanced character that could move about this universe in a better way. It's just that we're not seeing it yet, but here it is. It's in full display. He's asking the questions. He's doing his job.
He's doing his job.
I don't know. Yeah, they can always pull the syndrome as a ripcord, by the way.
Yes, they can.
That's the punishment.
Yeah. Sims is frantic over the loss of potential power. And so he's trying to grapple to get back at that. And it's just not going to happen. And I think that we're going to see this really blow up. My assumption would be this next episode, we're going to go back to Juliet. We're going to do like a
ping pong,
the two towers, almost on the Twin Towers,
like a checkerboard. You're going from one story to another.
Lord of the Rings, two towers.
Except they're underground and they're called silos.
Yes. Yes. I just meant because it switches back and forth from perspective in the book. Anyway, wow. It went somewhere completely else.
Yeah, no kidding.
Sorry.
It's not the first time it's happened, though. You keep going back to Lord of the Rings for some reason.
I don't know why I
and
do.
Charity had problems saying
also,
Saruman for some reason.
Why did it go to the Twin Towers? Why did I end up there? I don't know.
You said federalism, and then it made you think of 9/11. This whole thing. It's really weird.
What's happening?
I don't disagree with you, because ambition is that classic Macbeth. There's Lady Macbeth urging the husband Macbeth to grab the ring, and at what cost? And then making mistakes along the way, people getting killed, people getting hurt. But I think there's an altruistic purpose to this. It reinforces my theory that some departments may have knowledge of the order other than IT. Maybe. What if his father, in his time in janitorial, because janitorial is code for surveillance, you wouldn't expect them to have that knowledge or control. But let's just go with that. What if he saw something? What if he saw a feed of somebody doing something from IT, let's say, and his ambition, or his father's ambition for him, is to be IT's shadow so that he would know, for the sake of his own family, and maybe even for the sake of the silo, what that's about. Maybe that's the ambition. And he wants to be that person for the silo. We keep thinking there's a power move, and albeit we said it in our recap, he's an imposing character when he wants to be, but otherwise he's pretty charming and endearing.
Yeah, he is.
So
it
there's
might
a
just
contradiction.
Be my personal feelings about Common, I don't know.
It's
Bleeding
probably
through.
what they want you to see too. No, when I started saying that he was charming, you jumped to and then he ate the strawberry like a psycho, and I'm like, okay, now we've established our feelings on a certain character.
I mean, I love him.
Because he's imposing simultaneously.
But I love him.
Yeah. That's why my biases come in, and I'm thinking, yeah, but maybe his ambitions are altruistic. He is the one who says, I would never put my own family above the needs of the silo. 10,000 people, 10,000 more to come.
There goes Dave again, thinking people aren't giant piles of crap.
I did not expect you to say that. giant piles of crap, first of all. Second of all, fine, I'll take it.
I don't know what's happening.
Look at this looky-loo doozy-doo.
I have to go to bed, I think. I don't think I'm okay.
I like what they did in this episode where you get the knowledge, or at least Martha Walker gets the knowledge that she was spied on in the cells with Carla. It's the only way that Bernard knew for sure what to say, what specifically to say on the podium, first of all.
Well, that's why that shot hangs on what's obviously a camera.
Right.
It hangs
and later
on
on in a vent.
Yeah.
But it's specifically even afterwards when Hank lets her go, she still's kind of like, don't know what that was about. Why? But she goes in with Cooper, Juliet's former shadow, let's just say.
Yes.
She
Juliet's
follows
shadow.
him to Shirley and all that stuff. First of all, she says they've got eyes and ears everywhere. And I like the fact that she pushed Shirley. And then what? And then what? And where's this go? And then what are you going to do? I don't think she's giving Shirley and she never has. In this full episode, every time she pushes back on Shirley or anybody else in the silo, she doesn't give them everything. She's kind of like everybody else in the silo, like Knox. It's for your own good. You have to see the good of the silo. This person's like family to me. He doesn't say the truth. Saying this will get you killed. Saying this will get you beat up. Like it always happens around here. He doesn't really say that out loud. She does the same thing with Shirley. She says they have eyes and ears everywhere in places you wouldn't even think of. They're going to figure this out. And then what? And then what? So if we're going to do this, we have to kind of do this my way, is kind of what I feel like she's saying to Shirley.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe knowledge enough is enough for people. It doesn't have to come to a revolution, maybe, because we don't know what the end of that conversation is, really.
Well, Walker knew a fair amount. She already knows that the heat tape was bad and that it was intentionally bad and that her heat tape was better. And that's why she got it switched out in supply. So she already knew all of that.
She knows too.
Yes. I think what she's saying is like, there's a medium here where we can have the knowledge that we need and everyone doesn't have to die.
Right.
Because isn't that what the ideal goal would be? That people could know and choose to make the right choice? Now, I just said people are giant piles of crap, so I don't know that that's going to happen, but... That
is also another order, like you said, I think, right? That was one of your orders?
Well, I said, yeah, it's like a secret order. Yeah.
Yeah. You've got the order, you got the flame keepers, and now you've got this new thing. They're truthers, Bridget. They're truthers.
They are.
You mentioned 9/11.
All their hair is sticking straight up now, too.
They're the twin... They're twin silo truthers.
Just Photoshop them on Ancient Aliens, guy. Their faces.
Walker's face on Ancient Aliens.
Someone listening to this, do that for me, please.
And tag us, and then we'll repost it.
I love when Walker comes out and just sprays everybody with the hose.
Yeah, that was great.
That was probably my favorite moment.
It's my life's ambition. Just want to spray people
She's
with
just
hose.
like,
oh, that's a male thing.
You want to get back to work? Cool.
I love that she's out now. She can leave.
Yeah.
Her character can now become more dynamic.
Why isn't Martha Walker more animated? Is it because she's undoubtedly mourning the loss of Juliet? Is that what it is? And that we're still here? Life has to keep going on?
Yes.
Because it is odd.
Otherwise, Juliet died for no reason, and George died for no reason.
Do you think Walker believes that Juliet is dead?
I think she does.
Initially, is what I'm saying.
I think she does think that she's dead.
I think she might still think she's dead.
I think she hopes for the best, but they don't know that there's other silos. So where is there to go outside of there? And your suit has very limited air because it doesn't have a rebreather in it. It's just got the little bit of air that it's supposed to essentially that's like within it.
Inside there. Yeah.
That's it. That's all it's got.
There's that little pack, but yeah.
So she knew there's no way that she's going to live. So when she says that whole thing about she is alive as long as this movement is going, it means that they're keeping her memory alive, which is really why I think she's okay with this. It's just because it means that Juliet's death doesn't mean nothing. Obviously, we know better than that.
Well, and hopefully it can spark change.
Yeah.
Is probably her ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Man, that first episode said it, though. That toy dog that was specifically supposed to go into scrap. You take a thing that meant something to someone else that went into the shoot. She took it, gave it meaning, or did something. She felt like she had to do that because it meant something to somebody. But then the meaning changed, and it was a means for her to make connection with Shirley. And isn't that what's happening here with Shirley and Walker coming to an agreement, making a connection, using the thing that was meant to go to the scrap, meant to be gone, dead, and using that and making meaning of it. Juliet being dead, having no other purpose, but taking that and making it mean something, making it count for something.
That is you worked really hard for that. Okay, good job. Keep going.
No, but that's important. That's Juliet's character it's taking who Juliet is and making a movement out of it.
Mm-hmm.
The dog is a thing that tells you who she is, and the movement is taking Juliet's memory and making meaning of that as well in the same manner. That's her in a nutshell. She makes meaning out of something and takes that meaning and makes it mean something else, or maybe even makes it something greater than it was. It was used to make friends with Shirley. Her, let's say, death even is used to make a movement that is not a rebellion, maybe even, that maybe is something more meaningful. Again, it's a really great storytelling element. A lot of what this season is and could be are elements from that first episode that you can take, and it stretches out through the entire season. That often happens in really, really good writing. It's like the answers to the end are in the beginning, Bridget.
Mm-hmm.
Something good to pay attention to. It's like the song as well. Two people who in another life could have been best friends. And it could be she and that Steve Zahn character. It could be a lot of things. That's what that Moon River song means.
I was like, what are you talking about? What
sorry.
Song? Yeah, Moon River.
Well, it's the only song in the series, technically.
Gotcha.
So now there are no rules for what's happening in Silo Prime. Bernard's looking up what to do in the event of somebody going over the hill, and it's unprecedented. He could go to that section and follow those rules. He could prepare for a war. He doesn't. And this is to add my 2 cents to how I feel about Bernard. It did give me a lot more sympathy for him because he shows in that instance, in that moment, not only when he sees the view screen and sees all the bodies, he realizes, A, there's another silo, B, all the bodies, and this is what could happen here.
Mm-hmm.
So it dawns on him, it's not about power, it's not about running the silo, this is about survival now. So I love how he explained that this is an equation for him, that there is a calculation and there is a balance. It's not just about the healthy balance between mystery and truth. It's also the healthy balance in, well, I embody that authority now as mayor, and I have to get people asking as little questions as humanly possible. If I say, what you saw outside isn't real, the display is a lie, then people just call me out and they won't believe what I'm saying, what they literally just saw. The other hand, if I give them a new reason, a reason they had never heard before, maybe something new is something that makes people ready to believe again. Because you can tell throughout the entire first season, people are starting to pick up on all of this is starting to become too much. Between the sheriff's wife and then the sheriff having to go out to clean. That was hard on people to accept. That seems too weird. And then the possibility of now this sheriff having gone out and gone over the hill. That's even weirder. So people are ready to believe in something because things are starting to break down. So when Bernard trotted out this idea of the new heat tape and said there's a possibility that maybe someday we can go outside, he's rewriting the narrative. Now wait, there's more. That scene with he and not Common, but Robert Sims in the relics room, and he mentions the Pez dispenser, right? And he says something very odd. First, before I say that, Bernard's plan, I think, is genius. He undoubtedly, at least in this show, is super smart. He's giving them something to look forward to, which is another tactic you can get people to do whatever you want to do. I'm ready to believe. A change? What? To this? Sign me up. Now, this could be a folly, but we're not there yet. I thought it was pretty smart. I wanted to get your take on that, at least. This plan that he has.
Yeah, it's
It
good.
was
You can
very
go
smart.
outside? What?
No, it was
Okay.
It was a smart plan.
Because as
The
much as you hate
judge
him,
says
Bridget.
as much. She was waiting to see what
And
he
she's
would
the
do.
most ornery person on the show.
Yeah.
Martha and Meadows, well, M names, they're the most ornery on the show. And yet she's like, yeah, kudos to you. You had to pay those guys, right? Yeah, of course. She's smart. So then this takes us to the second thing, which is the Pez dispenser, which he says, oh, turns out it was nothing, but actually could mean everything. What? Comment. Sim says, is it important? I hate you guys. Sim says, is it important? Bernard says, it's not, but it is now.
Boom.
What is that? Because if he's rewriting the narrative, he could be the one. You know, the one? It's a seedling. I think he's trying to rewrite the narrative. He's like, maybe I'll be just like maybe not the rebellion, but I'll be like a soft rebellion against the pact and the founders. I could be the reason why people look
yeah,
up.
I'll rewrite the rules in this silo.
And relics are allowed, let's say.
Mhm. Well, I mean, I think that's really wise because that was obviously the initial intention of the silo because everybody had those things previous to the first rebellion the only rebellion that we're aware of in the silo. Who knows how many rebellions have
140 years
occurred?
ago.
But at that time, they decided that the best course of action was to strip all knowledge away from the residents. So if he comes back and says, hey, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of knowledge. You're going to get some pieces of information about what life was in the past so that we can be better prepared for this new future that I'm spinning for you.
Mhm.
And maybe that does help him regain control.
That's what's going to turn him into the real bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
Is when he starts
manipulating information.
When he starts manipulating everything to his ends. Could still have good intentions of keeping everybody alive, keeping everybody safe, but doing it in his own image or picking precisely what he wants to share. That's bad guy behavior.
It's bad guy behavior, but I still feel like that's necessary.
I think Dave is giving bad guy energy.
I don't disagree.
Bad guy energy.
If I were in his position, I can't say what a better idea would be.
Yeah.
His intentions are good, but it's serving villain.
Yeah, it is.
It's serving villain.
Yeah.
What was the expression now? I'm holding space for villains. Is
No,
what I'm doing
serving
now?
is serving
Bridget, is that what I'm doing?
like,
Serving is different than holding space for.
yes, it is different.
I
You can
understand
hold
serving.
space
I know
for your
that.
villainous ideas.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
exactly. Yes.
Tim Robbins is serving villain.
Mm-hmm. All he needs is a cat.
Oh yeah, and an eye patch.
To Mew? No.
No,
I'm just
Dave,
intentionally getting that one wrong.
Okay, now I'm cringing.
Yeah, ick.
I'm back, baby. Made them cringe, at least. I need something. And I agree with you, because the road to hell is paved with good intentions. You can see that he's doing his best. And actually, it sounds like a great idea. But even that idea, this is why the tension is so good. Because even the Juliet movement could have terrible consequences. Where it's not all out war. It's not people getting weapons. Just the knowledge of that there's people who are like, I don't really think this play. He lied about the tape, all that stuff. That's knowledge that's being passed like wildfire, like a tinderbox. Even that's dangerous. Even Mayor Holland's idea of him being the guy to get them out of here, that's dangerous too. Because when? And what is it going to take? And who's going to be the test subject? How many people are going to die? That's dangerous too. And then people get frustrated. It's not happening soon enough. The young people are going to be like, well, maybe they were right about him lying about the tape. Whoa, there's conflicting stories. The cat's already out of the bag. The glass is broken. And now you're basically trying to rewrite the story to make it seem like, oh, it was meant to be broken all along. So it's interesting. And obviously we have the other silo and what Juliet's going to do about that. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy what's about to happen. Because then where does Juliet come in? Does she come into the silo prime? And what is her role when she comes back? If she comes back. I hope she does come back.
Me too.
She's outside of the law.
I hope she gets there through secret tunnels that connect all of the silos, because that's what I really want to know about.
Yeah, that would
and
be
apparently
great.
it's not a problem.
Well, we heard about a tunnel already, and that hasn't come back around yet. Also, we heard one voice in the other silo, but that doesn't mean it's the only voice. There could be more people there.
Right. We had said that, yeah. And, well, that room is only big enough, and we did get to see only Steve Zahn's eyes. So
But
we
if
don't know who
there's
else might be in there.
tunnels, who knows?
Well, if you're feeling a bit cringy, why don't you head on over to ratethispodcast.com and be cringy with us. Write us a review, leave us 5 stars, and a gear. Tell us what you liked, tell us what you didn't like, tell us what you thought we might have missed. But remember to tell us after every single episode, your words really matter, and we may read them on the next episode, and we may also tag you on social media, do a little screenshot action.
Maybe.
Because we love you. And your input is important to us. We want to fill the vacuum between our voices with your voice and talk about the thing that you had to say about us and maybe even the stuff we talked about. But if you really like what we do, head on over to goddamn Ko-fi and Patreon and just follow us.
Whoa.
Because when you do, you'll get our recording schedule updates where you can join us in the chat telling us in real time what you really think. And
That's
if you
my
really like
job.
what we're doing, consider tipping us on Ko-fi for 30 days of access to our unedited episode recordings, as well as my dumb notes. Definitely there's more to what we just said in the notes, and maybe there's something to comment on about that. Or join a membership tier for as little as $4 a month on Ko-fi or Patreon to get a whole list of perks that you should check out. And if you have any thoughts on those perks, let me know. I'm happy to adjust them after I consult the computer with my hosts, and we can go back and forth on this great idea that you had about them. But hey, support this podcast, join a membership. You can see your name at the end, or me saying who you are at the end. It's one of the Whispers, Great M, and Survivors tier member perks. You know what else is a perk for those tiers? The ability to get a classic t-shirt when you sign up. If
For
you happen
free.
to join the Survivors and Great M tier, you can join us on screen with us, going back and forth and telling me how cringe I am when I try to mew on this podcast. It's really cringe. I don't know why I did it again.
To be fair, you didn't.
Yeah,
I tried
I don't
to,
know what you did, but
but
it
in
wasn't
like a-
mewing.
I was all like, I had the syndrome while I was doing it. It was really weird. Just leave that there in the atmosphere. just
Oh
hanging.
my
I don't know what to do about that.
Okay.
But if you like to do that, if you want to say how cringe I am to my face, you should join one of those 2 tiers, and you can do that. I've been your host, David Cameo.
I'm always CosmoMom09.
And Bridget. You can find me at ko-fi.com/punkybrewster. That's PUNKYBRUISETER.
Well, you're going to be watching the next episode probably within 24 hours after this has been released, because we're going to do our best effort to get this out on Tuesday before the Wednesday at midnight airing of episode 3 of
Oh,
the
fun.
second season. I don't remember what that's titled, which is why we had to get this out the door, which is why we're not going to be talking about the season 3 finale of From just yet, because we need to prioritize that episode, unfortunately. But maybe fortunately, like I said in our social media, because we can maybe get a lot more voices on that season 3 finale of From, which I would very much enjoy.
And I said, hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah.
Yeah, I wish you guys
yeah.
held some
I said,
more space
hey,
for me.
What's going on?
on? It's
And
more
I can
fun
tell you
when
what's
I
going
interrupt
off
you.
right now. Us. Thank you again for making it to the end of yet another episode of Squawking Dead. This week, talking about Silo's second episode of its second season, titled Order. And let me just tell you, it was a lot to try to get this episode in order, because the unedited episode recording is easily double the length of the episode you just listened to. It's filled with the constant throwback of attempting to mew and to hold space. It was just a little bit too much, and I had to cut some of that out. I also had to cut out some of the bickering and the retread of our recap on season 1, as well as some of the season 2 premiere to catch Rachel up. She leads a very busy life, and you already listened to that, so we had to spare you a little bit. But now you've reached the part of our podcast, like I mentioned before, where we acknowledge our Whispers, Survivors, and Great M tier members in reverse order. Starting with the Great M tier, we have at Real Ryan GM on X and Instagram. In the Survivors tier, we have Douglas Atherton at Walking Dead Artist 2 on Instagram. In the Whisperers tier, we have on Ko-fi, kofi.com/Connie Dixon for life, kofi.com/Aiden Atkin, and kofi.com/Fanart Lindy. On Instagram, we have at Eliza Jones 71, and on Facebook, we have at Kim.Rowley, the number 1. Season 2 of Silo keeps rolling on, with the 3rd episode airing tonight at midnight Eastern US time, and we will eventually release our schedule on when we will be recording the From season 3 finale. And like we've teased for the last few episodes, I hope we can get some more hosts to join us in that season finale, because it was quite the banger, without revealing anything further than that, because some of you, I'm sure, have heard of this series, have not listened to our podcast because you've been waiting to binge it. Maybe this gives you an opportunity to actually watch the series for yourself if you haven't already. But until that time comes, whenever it comes, just remember that we are Squawking Dead.